What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to TTP Sports. The first game between the Phillies and the Mets in this crucial 4-game series, and the Phillies drop the biggest dud in the world. They lose this game by a score of 7-2, and basically everything in this game was just not good. Offense wasn't good, hasn't been good for the past week and a half. Nola struggled in this game, and the defense early on was not good at all. Alec Boehm on a ground ball trying to turn a double play. He doesn't get it done. He throws it away from Jean Segura, allows the inning to continue. Nola does get out of that inning, only allowing the one run, but fundamentals right there. And then there's also a play, JT Realmuto trying to throw out Lindor, stealing second base when you have Marte over at third base, and it kind of seemed obvious if Lindor was going to try to steal and you try to get Lindor out there that Marte was going to go home. He did exactly that, and Stott read it right away, but the throw from Stott was off the home, and Marte scored because of that. Still, I don't understand why JT's trying to throw out Lindor going to second when you have a guy like Marte on third, who is a base stealing machine, and it was kind of obvious they would try to do a double steal there. So that was questionable in that point. And once again, your ability to hit with runners in scoring position is still an issue. Your best hitters in this ball game is Kyle Schwarber, who has missed 6 days, and he brought home your only 2 runs of the ball game. And then JT Realmuto got on base 3 times to get people chances to bring him home, and they did not do that. Look, I know I said coming into this series, win 2 games, split the series. And I know that's probably not going to be the reality, because I feel like at this point, someone's going to win this series. For some reason, I just, in my gut, this series is not going to end in a split. And going into tomorrow's game, tomorrow's doubleheader, if for people that are expecting the Phillies to win this series, I never said the Phillies were going to win because I always thought the Mets were the better team, but I would have been okay with a split. I wouldn't have been happy with the split, but it's just, it's ugly. It's very ugly. Is there a panic button pressed? No. Offense, though, they got to figure it out. It's getting frustrating. It's getting annoying at this point for how they just magically can't hit with runners in scoring position over the past week and a half. Like, if you go on this stretch, basically, ever since the National Series, I'll bring this up right now. So, during this stretch of games where the Phillies offense has struggled, they haven't scored. They've only scored above 4 runs once, and that was the 11-4 win in Cincinnati. But going back these other games, 0 runs against the Reds, 4 runs against the Reds, 0-0 against the Mets, 2 runs against the Mets, 0 runs against the Marlins, 4 runs against the Marlins, 4 runs against the Marlins. In that stretch of 9 games, you've only scored, I would say that's around 14, 16 runs, I believe, if you're counting today. So you've scored 14 runs, 16 runs in your last, I would say, 8, 9 games or something like that. So yeah, your offense isn't a huge, the last time before, even if you throw away the Reds game, because that in that factor right there, I'm throwing away that 11-4 win against the Reds just to describe that Reds, basically that, taking away that 11-4 victory, just trying to describe how much the offense has been struggling, basically throwing that game into an outlier point. So besides that Reds 11-4 win, the last time you scored above 4 runs was the 13-1 victory against the Washington Nationals. You scored 4 runs against the Marlins, 4 runs to beat Alcantara, and then your offense basically from there just start to go on a huge slump. Shut out by the Marlins, the 2-1 victory against the Mets against Scherzer, then shut out by the Mets 2 games in a row, 4 runs against the Reds, 11 runs against the Reds, 0 runs against the Reds, and 2 runs today. Your offense is in a huge slump. Do I believe they get out of it eventually? Yeah, I do. Because eventually your slumps break and you find a way to pull through. But this offensive slump is just, I don't even know, can you call it a slump at this point? It's basically going on, I'll still consider it a stretch. I'll say stretch, not slump. It's bad right now. The slump is bad. Well, the stretch is bad offensively. 2 for 7 with runners in score position in today's game. Nick Castellanos had 3 of those chances. He technically got a hit, but That hit was with JT Realmuto on second base. It was an infield hit, which allowed JT to move to third. So I throw that out of the trash. So basically, your only hit with runners in scoring position that actually drove in runs was Kyle Schwarber's 2-run single. And that was basically the only good hit with runners in scoring position in this ballgame. 2 for 7. You left 9 runners on base. Gene Segura goes 0 for 1. Vierling goes 0 for 1. Stott 0 for 1. And Castellanos 1 for 3. And I do want to bring up that one Stott at bat. And this goes basically through when I'm going over the game at this point. So I'll get into the Stott at bat eventually when I more go into depth with the game. But Aaron Nola in this game definitely wasn't the same Aaron Nola that he had in last Saturday's game when he first DeGrom. Way too many pitches. Had a lot of chance to get guys out. Yeah, the first inning of the defense didn't help him. So that's granted. But you go to that, what was it, the third inning, the fourth inning from the Mets? Facing Pete Alonso. 2-2 count, 2 outs. Miss your location. And Pete Alonso makes you pay. 2-run shot. Crushes the ball. And then you allow the double to Vogelbach with 2 outs. And then Jeff McNeil, he works a 9-pitch at bat where he's fouling off every single pitch in a row and you can't get him out. And then he finds a way to get one into the outfield where no one's at, and it scores another run. So you threw 30 pitches, or 30-plus pitches in the third inning. You threw 20-plus in the first. Then you threw 10-something in the second, and then so on and so forth. Way too many pitches from Aaron Nola. He was not able to get guys out in this game. Granted, like I said, the first inning, the defense did not help him. But still, when you're 2-2 with 2 outs, you got to get the guys out. JT wanted to pitch up and in to Pete Alonso on that 2-2 count. Aaron Nola threw one right down the middle of the plate. And good hitters in this league, they're going to hit that mistake every day of the week. And Pete Alonso did just that. This Phillies team can't beat the Mets. I do have an issue saying that because I despise the orange and blue. I despise that Mets logo. I despise Mets fans everywhere. Besides the one that are subscribed to this channel. I love you guys. But still, I hate admitting that the Mets are a better team, even though I've been admitting that every game. The Mets are 20 times the team the Phillies are right now. That's where you see the discrepancy in the how many games above 500 each team are. Mets, they're 30-plus games above 500. The Phillies are 10-plus games above 500. That's where you see the ranks of teams. Mets, they're a division leader. Phillies are a team fighting for a wild card spot. So that's where you see the two discrepancies with the teams. It's not to say the Phillies are a bad team. The Phillies are just not on the Mets level. Even though the Phillies had won games against the Braves this year, the Phillies can't beat the Mets. That's basically the bottom line of this entire situation. Phillies have won series against other good teams. They won series against the Dodgers. They won series against the Padres, Cardinals, Brewers, all that stuff. But the one team they can't beat this year is the Mets. They've lost every single series this year to the Mets. 5 series so far, and this is their last, 6th and last. Do I expect them to win the final 3 games? No. No, I will be generally shocked if the Phillies win these next 3 games. Generally shocked. Because of the way this team can't play against the Mets. I don't know if it's something that's clicking in their brain that they are scared of this team, or it's something like, I'm not sure they hit thinking of in the back of my mind, or the back of their minds. Are they thinking of that 7-1 blown lead earlier in the year to the Mets in the 9th inning? Is that somehow creeping in the back of their minds, and they can't figure out a way to beat this team because they have that crept up in the back of their minds, the 7-1 blown lead? Granted, the pitching, Chris Bassitt owns them. And Chris Bassett's not a bad pitcher. He's a good pitcher. He's a very underrated pitcher in this league. Still think he was hittable. There was a lot of hittable pitches today. They weren't able to take it. I don't know why they just really have trouble picking up Bassett's pitches. I can't explain it. I can't. They struggle against Bassitt. But now you got these next 3 games where Carlos Carrasco was supposed to start. Now he's out 3 to 4 weeks. Taijuan Walker is not starting in this series. And just trying to think. They're throwing out 2 guys from the bullpen. I think Peterson, and I forgot the other guy. I'll look at that when I look at the schedule. But just overall, coming into this game, it was a huge series. You knew the ballpark was going to be packed. This was your first chance to probably try to win a series against the New York Mets this year, to get more people to buy into you. And you drop a dud in the first game. Everything was bad. Everything. Really, the only thing that was semi-solid, I mean, don't take that for anything, was the bullpen. 2 pitchers out of the bullpen were solid. Nelson and Coonrod. Bellotti was not good. Bellotti was not good in this game at all. So, Nelson, in the 6th inning, 13 pitches, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, got out of it. Sam Coonrod, his first appearance this year, pitched 2 innings, struck out 3, allowed a walk and hit, and one hit as well. 27 pitches, no runs allowed. Got out of all those innings he was in, the 8th and the 9th. Andrew Bellotti allowed 2 hits, allowed the bases loaded. 2-run single, 2 outs to Brett Beatty. Scored 7 runs right there for the Mets. Just overall, this game was not good. This game was not good at all. Yes, tomorrow afternoon's game technically still favors you because you have Zack Wheeler on the mound. I know Zack Wheeler struggled in the last outing against the Mets. I expect him to have a way better performance tomorrow. It's the offense. It's the offense that I need to see. I need to see the offense do something. Find a way to break out of this goddamn stretch that you're on. We thought that 11-run outing against the Reds, maybe that's the wake-up for this offense that they need. Your offense needs to break out of this. They need to break out of this. I'm looking at Rhys Hoskins. I'm looking at Alec Boehm, Nick Castellanos. Still looking at JT, of course, too, Kyle Schwarber. But these guys get a pass because they were the lone source of offense in this game. Gene Segura, all the other guys. You do Bradley Zimmer, who you picked up on waivers from the Blue Jays because you had Brandon Marsh to the 10-day IL. Harper goes to the 60-day IL, even though no one should be worried about that whatsoever. It's all retroactive to where he got injured. He's already missed 50-plus days. He's still on track to return when he's going to return around September 1st on that date, either before or like somewhat right after it. He's going to be with the team on that West Coast road trip. Most likely that's when he's going to make his return, Bryce Harper. So, not worried about that. Just, you got to find a way to get out of this stretch. Because the stretch of offense just hasn't been good. Because when you're struggling to score this many runs, you're forcing your pitching to go out there and be perfect. And your pitching, yes, they're going to give up runs. It's not take the blame off Aaron Nola. It's that Aaron Nola didn't pitch good at all today. It's the fact that your bullpen guys, everything else, you've got to score runs. You've got to score runs. Your team is defined on offense. And you have many stretches this year where your offense has been really good. And you've had some stretches where your offense has been bad. We're in one of those stretches where the offense is bad. You got to find a way to get out of it. You got to find your way to open the floodgates. Like I said, I'm looking at Rhys Hoskins because he didn't have a good game. He went over 5. Alec Boehm did not have a good game. He went over 3. Nick Castellanos, he had plenty of chances with runners in scoring position in this game. He had plenty of chances with 2 runners on. They need to find a way to open the floodgates. Wake this offense up. So, find a way. Find a way. Now, am I hoping this team? Yes. I still think they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not panicking. Not panicking at all. Because I know the Mets are a better team than the Phillies. This stretch that they're on is very frustrating. And I hate losing to the Mets. But you still play the Reds. You play the Pirates. You play the Diamondbacks. You play the Giants. You play the Nationals. You play the Marlins. all in this upcoming stretch after this Mets series. And like, yes, I don't want to look way too far ahead. Take it one game at a time. But I still see this team's ability because they've beaten teams that are below 500 this year. I still believe this team's ability to make the playoffs because they're still in a good spot. This Phillies team is a good team. They're not a bad team. I'm going to put this out there. The Phillies are not a bad team. The Mets, they are a better team than the Phillies. The Phillies are good. The Mets are on a different tier. The Mets, they're on a tier with the Dodgers. They're on a tier with the other echelon teams in this league. The Astros, all those. Even throw the Braves up there. Could you consider the Yankees? Maybe. With the Yankees, with the way they've been playing since the All-Star break, maybe not. Phillies are a good team. They need to find a way to get out of the stretch that they're on. They got to find a way to open the floodgates of the offense. Tomorrow, you get Zack Wheeler on the mound in game 1 of the doubleheader, going up against David Peterson. David Peterson, he's mainly been a bullpen guy this year for the Mets. His last start was actually against the Braves this past week, so he's probably been thrown into the rotation since Carrasco got hurt. So his last couple of outings, he beat the Braves, 5 1/3 innings, no runs allowed. Against the Yankees, he only pitched a third of an inning, so I'm assuming he came out of the bullpen in that appearance. So, looking at all of his starts, actually, I just want to see the earned runs in his starts. So, 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 6 innings, 3 runs. So, he's not the top of their rotation. Got to find a way to open the offense. That's basically what I've just been saying. And then, so you got Wheeler tomorrow in the afternoon, Peterson as well. And then the night game. So Bailey Falter is going to pitch that game versus Trevor Williams. He's mainly been a bullpen guy for the Mets as well. He's been thrown into some games where he needs to eat some innings. He has. I've seen that on his stats so far. He pitched 2 innings against the Phillies last week. There's a game against the Braves where he pitched 4 innings. There's a couple of games in where he went deep into the ball game where he had to be thrown into the rotation because of an injury. But he's mainly been a bullpen guy. You got to find a way to get at. You got to find a way to hit him. You simply got to find a way to hit him. These 2 games, honestly, these last 3 games, your offense needs to find a way to wake up. And did the Mets announce who they're starting in the final game of the series against Gibson? I don't think they have. No, they have not said who is pitching against Kyle Gibson on Sunday. So, you got Wheeler tomorrow and Bailey Falter for the night game. Still deciding on how I'm going to do those recaps tomorrow. It's really depending on when game 1 ends. I know I'm basically all over the place this recap. Basically just going through the emotions at this point after this loss. I'm trying not to go crazy and overreact. It's not how I want to do it. Just I don't want to do that. But so you got, like I said, Wheeler tomorrow, Falter in the night game. So like I said with the recaps tomorrow, it really depends on how game 1 goes, on how long it is. Say if the game ends around 4 something, 4:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30. I'll probably do a recap after the first game, and then after the second game tomorrow night, I'll do a second recap. Like I said, if somehow the first game goes like 4 or 5 hours long, probably not going to do that. But really, like I said, it really just depends. But most likely you'll be seeing 2 recaps tomorrow. But yeah, it's basically the offense right now. And just looking around the league, Brewers lost today to the Cubs. I know the Padres lost yesterday to the Nationals. So technically coming into this game, you were still a game and a half above them. With this loss, you're a game above the Padres. You're actually a half game above the Padres, I believe. Yeah, half game above the Padres. And when looking at Padres are actually losing to the Nationals again 2-1, but they're in the bottom of the 4th with a runner on there. But still, can't be constantly looking at the other teams right now. You got to win the games that are ahead of you. That's basically it. You control your own destiny at this point. Control your own destiny. So yeah, you got to win the games that are ahead of you. Your upcoming schedule, after the Mets, you got Reds, Pirates, Diamondbacks, Giants, Marlins, Nationals, Giants, before you get into the middle of September. Looking way too far ahead, though. Got to find a way to win 2 games in this series. You got to find a way. Like I said, I asked for 2 games in this series. You have a chance to win a game tomorrow with Zack Wheel on the mound. I expect him to be way better than he did on, what was it, last Sunday. And actually, ESPN just completely flip-flopped who's pitching tomorrow in the afternoon game for the Mets. So it looks like Trevor Williams is pitching the first game, and Peterson is pitching the second game now. Unless ESPN is just screwing with me right now. Earlier, it said Peterson was game 1 and Williams was game 2. Then I refreshed, and they flip-flopped the pitchers. So I'm probably going crazy here, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. We all know Peterson and Williams are pitching tomorrow for the Mets. You're not playing even though the Mets, their pitchers are still good. They still are good. Let's not forget about that. But still, it's their 6th, 7, 8 type starter guys going in these last 3 games. They're still solid pitchers, but they're not to the echelon of what their top of the rotation is. So, your offense needs to wake up. Your offense needs to get going. You need to get out of this funk that you have been for the past week and a half. The struggling with runners in scoring position, everything like that. I'm looking at all these guys in a lineup. I know Schwarber had the good game. I expect Schwarber to be fine the rest of the way because overall he's been one of your best players this year. Looking at Rhys Hoskins because I know he had that stretch of 4 home runs in a row in the series against the Nationals. 4 home runs in 4 straight days. But really, since then, I know he had the 2 homer game against the Reds a couple of days ago, but we really haven't seen that true Rhys Hoskins hot streak at all this year. True Rhys Hoskins hot streak. Where he carries the offense. We haven't really seen that. Alec Boehm, he needs to find a way to get better in the batter's box. JT, I know he had a good game today, but still needs to be consistent. Nick Castellanos, I'm just praying at this point for him. Stott, Segura, you need to find a way to hit with runners in scoring position. That's basically the bottom line. Bottom line, you got to hit with runners in scoring position. It's frustrating. Really frustrating. But is there room to panic? No. No. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. That there's room to panic at all. I just don't see it. I know a lot of people are going to panic after this loss. I'm just not. Maybe it's because I'm going into this series knowing that the Mets are the completely better team and that I just asked for a split. I don't know. Still doesn't make it any less frustrating, though. I hate that they can't find ways to beat the Mets. Just don't like it. I see Julian in the chat. Not happy, of course. All the Nola lovers, please stop. He's not a top 3 pitcher. Last 5 starts against playoff teams. First Phillies Mets game I got to see in 64. 58 years later, I still can't stand losing to the Mets. I understand that, Scott. Understand that. Phillies, Padres, and Brewers are a picture of mediocre. Why does this team fall apart? Phillies are not a mediocre team, Julian. They're a good team. They are 12 games above 500. They're not a mediocre team. I understand you're mad about this game. I understand that. And you're mad about the offensive stretch that they're on. Lack of offense. They're not a mediocre team. That's an overreaction. Why not bat Kyle Schwarber 5, move Nick Castellanos way down? Castellanos, I don't mind Schwarber leading off. He's been their best hitter all year. He's been comfortable in the leadoff spot. I don't think they're going to move him. Not going to move him at all. Who else on this team is a leadoff hitter? Gene Segura, in his time in the leadoff, he's not a good leadoff hitter. I know Bryson Stott had that couple of game stretch where he was decent for that spot when Schwarber was out. No, Kyle Schwarber is your leadoff hitter. It seems like the Phillies keep getting embarrassed by the Mets this year. That's basically understandable right there, BJ. Phillies always hate both New York teams in baseball. It's understandable. Anyone can pitch against them now, it seems. I'm really pissed with how bad this offense is. We are sold a big bill of good offense. Well, Julian, to expect this offense to score 7 runs a game. Every game for 162. That is not going to happen. That is not going to happen. Yes, we were sold this year a softball team that was going to mash home runs. They've been doing that most of the year. They're in a bad stretch. The Castellanos, though, yeah, right now, he's not doing good. Like, Julian, I think you're a little overreactive here. A little. I can understand it's okay to be frustrated. I get it. I'm frustrated along with you, Julian. I think you're overreacting a little bit there. Trevor Williams is a second starter for the Mets tomorrow. I just saw that on ESPN that they flip-flop the starters, that Williams is the first pitcher and Peterson is the second pitcher now. It'd be the most Phillies thing to win one of these games, and then that game being the game falter starts. This is when the Phillies have faded to... Julian, stop overreacting, man. Stop overreacting. Find it hard to believe this Phillies team would lose both games, that Nola and Wheeler would pitch. Big pressure on Wheeler tomorrow. I expect Wheeler to have a much better game. I do. I know if you look at Wheeler's splits, road and home, it's been a lot better home pitcher this year than road. His road ERA is like above, I believe, 3.5 to between 4 or something like that, and his home ERA is sub 2. Maybe closer to like around the low ones. So Wheeler on the road has not been the same pitcher that he is at home. He's been dominant at home. That's why I expect Wheeler to have a much better performance tomorrow. And I'm sure he's not going to have a bad start, 2 starts in a row. I just don't expect that from Wheeler. I don't. 12 games over 500 is third place team. Well, when you're in the division with the Mets and the Braves, of course, you're going to be in third place if you're not 30 games above 500. I don't understand that argument there, Tom. I don't understand it. You're a third place team and you're in the second wildcard spot. I don't care if this team makes the playoffs from the wildcard spot. I don't care if this team made the playoffs from the division. You make the playoffs, you make the playoffs. Bottom line. That's the one thing I hate with this fan base. Oh, they're beating these bad teams. Like, they've beaten good teams this year. The only good team that they've struggled against are the Mets. The Phillies have done more beating bad teams this year. And don't good teams beat bad teams? Isn't that the thing? That's the one thing this Phillies team has struggled to do over the past so many years, is beat bad teams. They've done that this year. And people don't want to give them the credit. Oh, they're just beating bad teams like the Nationals and all that stuff. They've beaten good teams too. They won the season series against the Dodgers, the Padres, the Cardinals, the Brewers, all these teams that are fighting for playoff spots. They're neck and neck in their season series against the Braves. I believe they're 6-6 against the Braves this year. The only team that they have struggled against, and that mightily struggled against, are the Mets. They've won 4 games this year against the Mets. They've lost every series. That is the only good team they've struggled against. I'm frustrated as the rest of you guys. I am. This is not a spot to overreact at all. It is not a spot. Now, say if you split this series and then split the series against the Reds, then we have a problem. But I don't expect it to happen. I don't. Dr. Drew says the Mets Phillies are a dangerous team in the playoffs. Look, let's not all go after Julian here. Guy that's always in the chat, loyal subscriber. Man's frustrated. I get his frustration. Just a little bit of overreaction here, man. That's all. And granted, when your team hasn't made the playoffs in 10 plus years, that frustration is really going to show. So it's understandable. I think it's just a little too much overreaction there. Just a little bit. Yeah. It's a frustrating time. The stretch here by the team. It's Julian. It's not panic time. It's not. It's not it's okay to be frustrated, Julian. It's not panic time now. The Phillies have won really the only stretch during this entire part of the second half. They've only lost 2 series since coming out of the second half. Well, coming out of the All-Star break. Yeah, they got swept by the Cubs. Throw that in the trash. The only other series they lost was against the Mets. And then after the Mets, they won the series in Cincinnati. Yeah, they should have won that last game. You still won the series. And it's only one game here against the Mets, even though I'm not hopeful for the rest of it. Like I said, if you find a way to split, I'll take that any day of the week. And then you move on to the rest of your schedule, which is a lot of teams in a row that are under 500, and you put yourself in a better spot. So, it's not time to panic here, Julian. Phillies teams in previous years, they collapsed at the start of the second half. It wasn't at this point. They started way before the second half. The 2019 team, you saw that collapse in June. 2018 team, they started collapsing in July. So, this Phillies team is different than this Phillies team is better than previous teams. This Phillies team, I still believe, makes the playoffs because they put themselves in a good position to do that. The frustrating stretch that they're on, I believe they get themselves out of it though, because they've been on through frustrating stretches this year, and they gotten themselves out of it. Maybe it takes a 1 or 2 game stretch for the offense to find confidence in themselves. Maybe it takes, I know maybe that one game against the Reds, you were thinking, oh, the offense probably should have found confidence in themselves. Maybe it takes another game or 2 for them to find their way. I believe they'll find their way. Right now, they got to find a way to get themselves out of it and open the floodgates. Overall, even though Nola was not good today, I still feel like overall your starting pitching has been solid. Your bullpen has been solid. And offense overall has been solid. Right now, your offense is in a bad stretch. And they're going to find their way out of it. Does it start tomorrow against the Mets? I would hope so. I would love for that to happen. You just got to wait and see. Just got to wait and see. There's no room to panic, though. Frustrated, yes. Panic, no. We're not in panic mode yet. Not in panic mode. Way too early for that. Way too early for that. Padres, they're still losing to the Nationals 2-1. Yeah. Bottom line, stay ahead of the Padres and the Brewers. And you put yourself in a good spot to do that. Padres, they haven't been good since the second half started, since the trade deadline. And the Brewers, they're hit or miss. Julian, if you need a drink, go drink, man. Go drink, man. I understand the frustration, dude. I understand it. Go have that drink. Go have that drink. Yeah, it's basically where we sit right now. Frustrating game. Wholeheartedly frustrating. I believe they eventually get themselves out of this slump. I do. I came into the series knowing the entire year the Mets were a better team than the Phillies. Dr. Drew says he'll buy you a drink, Julian. Look, that's basically what I just said. I came into this series asking for 2 because I knew the type of team the Mets were. Mets are a good team. They're a great team, actually. That's why they are a 30-plus game above 500 type of team. There are a lot of Phillies fans out there saying you got to take 3 or 4. Like, I'd be fine with, like, I wouldn't be the happiest guy in the world with a split. I'd be fine with a split, though. So you basically got to wait. And the Padres and the Brewers, Julian, the Padres and the Brewers are erratic. Yes. Padres, they have not been good since the trade deadline. And with that whole news about Tatis getting suspended for PEDs or for steroid use and that stupid, excuses that he gave, basically. And the Brewers, they traded away Josh Hader, even though Josh Hader hasn't been good in his stint with the Padres either, but it's just the Brewers offense eventually. The Brewers offense isn't a good offense. So the Phillies put themselves in a good spot. They did. Win the series against the teams in this huge stretch against the teams below 500. That's what you got to do. The Brewers, later on in their schedule, they have a tough stretch where they play the Cardinals, Yankees, and Mets all in a row. Padres, I'm sure there's going to be more games where they play the Dodgers, other tough teams. So the Padres are probably going to have a tough schedule down the stretch. Honestly, let me look at their schedule right now, because why not? So if I look at the Padres, their schedule overall, going down the stretch, they got some tough teams right here. Well, not really. Well, they got some easier opponents, but they lost the series to the Marlins. They lost the first game here to the Nationals. They got 3 more games against them, and they're losing right now. They got 2 games against Cleveland, and Cleveland's been a surprise team this year, even though they're playing in a very bad Central Division in the American League. Series against Kansas City, that should be a series win for them. And they get the Giants, Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Dodgers, Mariners, Diamondbacks, Cardinals. They close out the series with Dodgers, Chicago, San Francisco. So, yeah, the Padres have a tough schedule to end the year in September. So, don't overreact, boys. Don't overreact. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying right now. Don't overreact. Dr. Drew believes that the Padres are the team that would collapse. Never know. Never know what can happen. Never know what can happen at all. Yeah. I think at this point, that's where we stand. Frustrating loss, but I'm not going to panic. It's a very frustrating loss. I hate losing like this to the Mets. I hate those Mets fans in Citizens Bank Park going crazy and silencing our fans. Yes, the Phillies play a lot of teams below 500. A lot of teams during the stretch. Because from after this series, I believe until September 15th or the 16th, they play teams that are below 500. Teams that are below 500. So you have a really good chance to win a lot of games. I believe this team will. So, take it for what it's worth. Julian is coming around. Alberto says the Phillies should have gotten a pitcher instead of a slugger that is struggling and not earning the contract he was given. I mean, I feel like any team would give Nick Castellanos that contract. Nick Castellanos is not a bad baseball player. Well, I mean, you're going into the season. Yeah, maybe I would have wanted a Carlos Rodon, but the Phillies weren't in on pitching. They were in on getting Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos. The Phillies had a rotation of Aaron Nola, Zack Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, who was coming off of a good year and is having a really good second half. Kyle Gibson, who's a solid 4th, 5th type starter. And you had Zach Eflin at the point, who was still a solid 4th, 5th type starter. But now at this point, you can't rely on Zach Eflin. And you went out and traded for Noah Syndergaard to pitch in the 5th part of the rotation. And you had all the stuff about Syndergaard with his start getting moved from the Mets start on Sunday to Monday against the Reds. Not looking that deep into it. I could care less. So, look into that, how much you want. And the Nationals just took a 3-1 lead with the Padres. As I'm looking to my right here on ESPN as it just updated. Mets are built for the playoffs. They will win the World Series. You never know. Never know. Never know. Yeah, pitching overall for this team is not the issue. It's not. If Nick Castellanos not necessarily had the season that he was having last year, but if he was putting up more power numbers, if he had, because what does Nick Castellanos have right now? 10 home runs to 11 home runs. It's not a lot. It's not a lot at all. If Nick Castellanos put up, let me see if I look at the roster. Where are you at, Castellanos? Where are you at? He has 11 home runs this year. If he had between 20 and 25, would the Phillies have a much better, 20, 25 home runs, 70 to 80 RBIs at this point? Phillies would probably be in a better spot if Nick Castellanos was actually hitting. the thing. You are going to get Bryce Harper back, though, and that's going to help. His batting practice today went really well, hitting a lot of bombs, actually, in his batting practice, but take that as you want. It's progressing well. Most likely, they're expecting him to start his rehab assignment possibly next week. And for that rehab assignment, that's most likely going to be, 7-10 games possibly in the minors for him to get his swing back and everything like that. Yeah. Nick and Bryce Harper, like I said, they're saying September 1st is a realistic start point for him. And I do expect him to be back for that West Coast road trip when they're playing the Diamondbacks and the Giants. So that's when I expect him to be back. So after you play the Reds and the Pirates at home, then you go on that road trip to beat for Arizona and San Francisco to start basically the end of August to September. And that's when I'm expecting Harper to be back. He's going to be the DH. So basically just got to wait. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with Castellanos. I can't tell you. Now, do I think he's going to be like this throughout the rest of his contract? No. I don't believe he's going to be like this the rest of his contract. I don't think he's ever going to figure it out this year, though. But I don't think he's going to be like this the next 4 years of his contract. I don't think it's going to turn out like that because he's way too good of a baseball player to struggle this much. Way too good of a hitter in his career to struggle this much. Not enough deep drives to left field. The Phillies can't hit with Harper. What? Okay. I'm just going to ignore that. I think Phillies and Mets fans are going back and forth in the live feed. So I'm going to ignore that comment. The Phillies can't hit with Bryce Harper. What are you even talking about? Bryce Harper was putting up MVP numbers. There is traction to that, Julian. There is. There's a lot of traction to Trey Turner next year. So wait and see for that. But there is a lot of traction for it. A lot of people I've heard. Inside sources and all that stuff. Take it for what you will. But that's what I'm hearing. Yeah. I think right now that's where we will end it off. Strange putting Schwarber in the leadoff position when he can't run. I mean, he's been a leadoff guy for, that's where he's felt most comfortable. He was a leadoff guy sometimes for Chicago. He was a leadoff guy last year for Washington. He's been good in the leadoff. Schwarber's not the issue. Schwarber is not the issue. One of your best players this year. The Phillies don't have a traditional leadoff guy. They just don't. Segura's not a leadoff hitter. Stott had that couple of game stretch where he was decent. But overall, Schwarber's been your leadoff hitter. He's been a damn good leadoff hitter. Hits home run, draws walks. He's been solid. Been really good. More than solid, actually. So, yeah. So, I think, overall, that's where I'm going to end it off here, boys. So, I appreciate everyone here for joining the live feed as always. Do not forget to hit that like button. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to check out everything in the description as well. BrodesMedia, Painted Lines. I recommend all of that stuff. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button. It goes a very long way. Join the TTP Sports family. And also use the code TTP Sports for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Use it for anything you can think of, sporting event, concert. It is a great deal. Do not pass it up. So, thank you, everyone, for joining the stream, like I said. And I will see you next time.